Salve und Ave, oder ja, sowas. Hier bei SillyConBread und wahrscheinlich zur letzten Folge von The Forgotten City. Und diesmal haben wir die Krone und stellen uns jetzt nochmal den Göttern und überzeugen sie hier, die goldene Regel aufzulösen. Ich hoffe. Schauen wir mal. Erstmal den Weg wieder hoch. So, die Tafeln sind noch drin. Ja, das ist doch schön. Oh, es lädt. Ja, hier, Pluto. Ja, Hades. Osiris. Und der letzte, der mir gerade nicht einfällt. Nergal. Oh, es ist hell. So, wollen wir das Gespräch nochmal führen, hä? Ich habe die Krone. Sie hat sie auch noch.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already
Ich weiß, ich weiß.
And what is that they will first?
Ja, komm.
I would recognize that anywhere. And yet my beloved still wears hers. What is this? How did you come by it?
Ah ja, ja, ja. Von ihr, nachdem ich sie in einer anderen Zeitlinie umbrachte. Warum lasse ich mir jetzt so raushängen?
You vile, despicable creature. Why would you do such a thing? And worse still, boast about it.
Ich wollte sie nicht töten, aber wenn ihr die goldene Regel nicht aufhebt, werde ich es wieder tun. Okay. Ich bin ja das dann ganz... Ich wollte sie nicht.
You have put me in an impossible position.
Ha.
If I refuse, you will murder her. And yet, if I agree, I will lose my wager and return to Elysium, humiliated and alone.
So. Nun, wie entscheidet ihr euch?
I do not see that I have a choice in this. Your treachery and savagery have opened my eyes like nothing I have witnessed in 3,000 years. And now you have shown me your species' true colors. And I see that Persephone was a fool to have
Habe ich jetzt ein gutes Ende?
This
Oder?
has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all of you. But know this, if I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend.
Wir wollen doch bloß zurückkehren. Okay. Nee, ich frage jetzt nicht weiter nach. Komm, beenden wir es hier.
Very well. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. But as for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest.
Warum?
Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready?
Ja, ich bin bereit. Komm.
You had best pray our paths never cross again, mortal.
Ja, ich werde hier nie wieder herkommen. Oh, oh. Ich hab's geschafft. Ich hab's geschafft. Ich bin hier raus. Eine Herkules-Aufgabe, ja. Equizia sagte, ich bin kein Herkules. Ich bin Herkules. Der zweite. L? Oh, L? Hey.
Oh. Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fright. Thought I was in here alone. I'm Al.
Al Worth, ich bin hergekommen, um dich zu suchen.
Well, here I am. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Hi, ich bin Neo.
Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I guess I lost track of time, learning about the history of this place, and it is extraordinary. I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people to set foot in this city for about 2,000 years.
So kann man
Fortunately for
sagen.
us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius.
Galerius?
Inscribed an account into a tablet. Apparently, there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the 1,000 people who'd lived here before them. Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, foiling an assassination attempt,
bin ich.
and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience. And the doors just opened up to him.
Naja,
Who
einfach
knows what
vielleicht
went
nicht.
on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook, and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him, and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of
Oh, hier
years?
sind keine goldene Statuen mehr. Ah. Bin nicht das gewesen. Komm, wir sagen, wir waren's.
What? Oh.
Ja, ich mein's auch ernst. Komm,
For a moment
wir
there,
sagen
I
jetzt
thought you were
jedem die
serious.
Wahrheit.
Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me.
Okay. Oh, ich bin raus. Karon, bist du hier? L? Ah. Ist das schön hier zu sein. L?
I'm gonna pause here for a moment and make sure nobody else has ever lured into this temple.
Gute
You
Idee.
go on ahead, and I'll be there soon.
Ach, L. Oh, bin ich froh, wieder hier zu sein. Wir haben es geschafft. Wir haben es geschafft. Vielleicht nicht auf die gute Weise, dass wir hier die Geliebte umgebracht haben. Vielleicht hätte es auch anders geklappt. Mit Überzeugungsarbeit. Aber mit dem konnte man ja gar nicht reden. Da ist sie. Er, sie, wer auch immer.
You're back. But you're alone. Does that mean you didn't find out?
Doch, doch, doch.
Oh, what a relief.
Aber wer ist
Thank
denn
you
L?
so much. I was beginning to think you'd both become trapped in there. Why don't you tell me what you discovered while we wait?
Aber wieso interessiert sie sich für ihn? Ich habe herausgefunden, dass du nicht die bist. Ja, ja, ja. Ja, komm.
Ah, I see. I thought you might.
Oh, oh.
Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions.
Ja, wer bist du?
You can just call me Charon, if you like. I am sorry I was not completely honest with you when we first met. I do not enjoy deceiving people. Believe me, I do not. But I have learned, from 5,000 years of experience, that most people find comfort in familiarity, in gradual change, and coming to see the truth in their own time.
Ja.
That you died, of course. You were dead when I brought
Ja,
you
habe ich
here.
mir schon gedacht.
My role, as the servant of the god of the underworld, has always been to assist the chosen to cross the threshold from the land of the living to the land of the dead.
Und ja, das ist die Frage.
Usually, when people do not remember how they died, it is because they suffered a terrible trauma. Most souls would rather not remember. Ask yourself honestly.
Ja, komm, ja, natürlich will
do
ich es
you really
wissen.
want to know?
Nicht schrecklich, aber ja, ja, das will ich.
As you wish. You were murdered. You were falsely accused of a terrible crime and fled into the wild to evade your accusers.
Ah, das war am Anfang, wo ich das
On your
gesagt habe.
final night, you were offered sanctuary in the cottage of a stranger who gave you food and money, including, by accident, a coin of ancient origin. Unfortunately, you were apprehended and attacked by authorities. Your host leapt to your aid. You both fought bravely, but your assailants were armed, and you were not. There was nothing you or your ally could have done. He died instantly at the scene, and you followed a few hours later. That man's name was Al Worth. You were each in possession of a sacred coin, called Charon's opal by some, and so it was my duty to bring you here.
Pluton sagte, die Münzen, die Elle und ich hatten, sind die letzten, die es gibt. Das bedeutet... Ah, das waren die... Er hat gesagt, es gibt noch zwei. Die letzten zwei, das waren wir.
It means I am now bereft of purpose. There is nobody else to ferry here. Nobody to keep you company. After 5,000 years, the underworld has finally run its course.
Okay. Leicht Gänsehaut. Was ist an diesen Münzen so besonders?
Perhaps you have heard the tales of the Greeks and Romans burying their dead with a coin in their mouths to pay the ferryman for passage across the river. Well, those stories contained a seed of truth, but not any coin would do. A long time ago, my master created 1,000 silver coins and had me distribute them across the world. My orders were simple. Whenever a person died in possession of a coin, I was to locate them and ferry them here.
Ja, Pluto erwähnte, dass meine Münze die letzte sei. Was bedeutet das für euch?
It means I am now bereft of purpose. There is nobody else to ferry here. Nobody to keep you company.
Ja, so habe ich doch erst schon gehabt. Könnt ihr uns ins Land der Lebenden zurückbringen?
I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now.
Okay.
Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't believe what we found. The ruins of a long-forgotten city. And there was a tablet describing an oracle who confronted a god and undid an ancient curse.
Sounds like quite a story. And I look forward to hearing all about it. But you two look exhausted. Why don't you hop in my boat and rest while I ferry you back to civilization?
Sounds good to me.
And you? Are you ready to go home?
Ja, klar. Sie hat jetzt keine Arbeit mehr gehabt. Aber wieso bringt sie uns wieder zurück in die Zivilisation? Ich habe keine Ahnung. Entweder habe ich es noch nicht ganz verstanden oder ein paar Logikfehler hier. Oh, ein Jahr später. Natürlich. Im Museum. Was haben wir hier? Mhm. Mhm. Wer bist du?
Hey, you made it.
Oh.
It's great to see you again. I read about your trial in the news. Congratulations on your acquittal. Still, I'm sorry you had to go through all that. Anyway, after everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some good news. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius's tablet. And I found
Also hat das doch erfahren
something
jetzt, dass wir...
strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you. I just really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the other end.
Okay. Oh, was für ein Prozess. Was haben wir hier?
It's
there he is.
Galerius? Equitia? Oha! Oha! Mein Junge!
You're finally here. Remember me?
Na klar!
It's a crazy story. After you disappeared, Karen appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. Even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours. Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and giving us a second
Galerius,
chance.
mein Junge. In unsere Welt gebracht. Aber die sind doch wahrscheinlich gerade völlig überfordert, was hier passiert. Oh, das frage ich gleich. Was habt ihr in der letzten Zeit so gemacht?
Oh, I used Karen's gift to buy a farm in Umbria.
Ja, natürlich.
Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Dooley, of course. It's hard work, but I sleep soundly every night. I'm finally my own man, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Ach, seid ihr zusammen? Ich sag ja, sag ja.
I know. I can't believe my luck either. But we're engaged and living together. We're planning to get married next spring. If you're gonna be around, we'd love to.
Ja, natürlich, natürlich. Das gefällt mir jetzt sogar mehr, als hier dem Gott gegenüber zu treten. Ach, ich mag Galerius. Natürlich. Ach, schön, dich zu
Of
sehen.
course, there's a whole museum full of people waiting for a chance
Sind
to
alle
thank you.
hier?
So you better keep moving. We'll speak again soon, my friend.
Na klar. Galerius. Komm, nochmal.
Back again?
Oh,
Of course.
bester Mann. Ja, hallo?
You're here. It's lovely to finally meet you. Galerius told me all about
Wie?
you.
Ach ja, wir kennen uns ja, glaube ich, gar nicht. Noch nie geredet in der anderen Welt. Also,
So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of the Roman gods. As I'm a priestess, you realize you've put me out of work. I'm
Oops.
just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little sacrilegious to say this, I'm finding life after religion quite enjoyable.
na, was hast du so gemacht?
Galerius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside with room for a large family. And Dooley too, of course.
Ah,
It
schön.
feels like the world has just opened up for us. There's so much to learn and so many more possibilities for our children than we ever imagined. We're just so thankful for what you did for us. For all of us.
Ah, Livia, wie geht
Oh,
es
it's
ihr?
sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. In fact, she's here somewhere, if you'd like to ask her yourself.
Natürlich. Ah, schön, dich
See
zu
you at
sehen.
the wedding, I hope.
Natürlich. Dooley?
There he is.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Dooley.
Ach, ich weiß, wer du bist.
Galerius said you're very nice and a big helper. Thank you for getting us out of the bad place. I didn't like it.
Ach ja, was hast du
I live
gemacht?
at Galerius and
Was sag es?
Equitia's house.
Ah,
They look after me now and help me remember when I forget things, like brushing my teeth.
es tut mir leid. Oh ja, er hat noch einen Schatz gehabt. Hm.
Treasure? Oh, I forgot about that. I like my box now. Galerius got me a box that tells
Kasten.
stories.
Fernseher? Meint er damit
It's
Fernseher?
my favorite thing.
Ah ja, ja, sehr schön. Wir sehen uns.
Bye bye.
Natürlich, bye bye. Ah, es ist gerade
There he is.
echt schön, die Leute hier zu sehen. Lucrezia? Julia wahrscheinlich? Horatius? Octavia? Schauen wir mal. Ja, Julia.
Hi there.
Hi there. Ah, sieht gut aus.
You're the Oracle, right?
Na klar. Neo geht es gut. So,
Oh, of course. Sorry. And I never got a chance to thank you for telling Galerius how to save my life. And of course, getting me and all of us out of a terrible situation.
Ach, schön. Und, wie geht's dir?
Oh, I barely recognize myself. I'm living in a house share in London with my wonderful girlfriend. And I'm studying English at university. Eventually, I want to travel the world and write about it. Turns out, it's about 30 times bigger than the Roman Empire ever was. Did you know there are entire continents Rome never knew existed? And you can travel almost anywhere in an aircraft, which is rather like flying on a Pegasus, but much more comfortable. Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I'm just so excited. There's so much to see and learn and write about.
Oh, ich werde, glaube ich, total überfordert. Klingt wunderbar.
I have noticed people from your time have no idea how fortunate they are. I hope to change that. One day.
Oh ja, wie geht's den zwei?
Last I heard, Malleolus kept insisting he was the last rightful ruler of the Roman Empire and wound up being committed to a psychiatric hospital. As for
Balsam für
Claudia,
die Seele.
she was always so viciously unhappy. Someone said she'd blown all her money on wine, trying to drink herself back to the underworld. After the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me, I can't help feeling a sense of... what's that German word? Schadenfreude?
Ah, Schadensfreude. Ah, schön. Ah, ich denke, ihr dürft euch so fühlen. Ja, komm.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Ah, Aurelia, was ist mit ihr?
Ugh. Someone told me she was boasting about getting her claws into some rich prince, and how she was going to be living the high life from now on. Even in your time, life still isn't fair. Apparently, he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class one-way ticket to join him in some exotic place called... what was it? Nigeria? Some people have all the luck.
Ah ja. Wird schon
Well,
werden.
you are the oracle, so I suppose I'll take your word for it.
Anscheinend bin ich jetzt.
I feel better already. Thank you.
Bitteschön. Jetzt bin ich der Gott für sie.
You too. If you're ever in London, let me know. We can go to bars and drink wine and listen to the stories of the 9 million people who live there.
Natürlich.
I hope so.
Ach, ist das gerade schön. Kroatia.
You are here. It's nice to finally meet you.
Ich frage, wenn ich zuvor noch mit ihnen geredet hätte, hätten sie jetzt ein anderes Gespräch hier? Der Einzige, der sich an mich erinnert, ist, ja, Galerius.
Lucy is fine. I'm making an effort to blend in, as you can see. We are all trying to keep a low profile.
Okay, Lucy.
If the world knew we died 2,000 years ago and were suddenly brought back to life 12 months ago, they'd never leave us alone. Speaking of which, I wanted to say thank you in person. I'd say the gods smile on you, but I hear you drove the last of them off. So...
Ja, ich weiß. Was hast du
I'm
gemacht?
studying to get into medical school. As much as I resented the responsibility of keeping everyone in the city alive, when it ended, I realized I missed it. So I guess I'll just keep saving the world, if begrudgingly, one patient at a time.
Ach, schön, Lucy.
You too. Don't be a stranger.
Natürlich. So,
Hey,
Octavia. Ne, Cynthia. Ich dachte, das wäre die Octavia. Horatius.
Hi there, I'm Horatius.
Ich weiß.
I understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance at life,
hey.
and reuniting Scintilla with us as well. So, thank you.
Na, gerne. Was hast du so gemacht?
I'm living up north and studying in the military academy in Modena. I'm going to be an officer one day. The world's changed a lot. But some things stay the same. Would you believe we're still studying military tactics from my time? Alexander the Great, Caesar, Hannibal Barca. Still, I have to keep challenging myself to let go of old ways of thinking and embrace the new. As Seneca wrote, the ones who pioneered our paths aren't our masters, but our guides.
Ach, schön. Auch ein guter Kerl. Es tut mir leid, dass ihr euer Mädchen nie wiedersehen konntet. Sind Hiller? Ich habe sie ja nicht befreit. Aber danach hätte man sie doch befreien können.
Ah, you remembered that. Thank you. I grieved for a time. But that's done. In the words of Epictetus, as those who rode behind triumphant generals remind them they are mortal, remind yourself your precious one isn't one of your possessions, but something given for now, not forever.
Ah, gut gesagt.
Thanks.
Ja, Kumpel, naja, Kumpel?
He's not my... Oh, I see what you did there. Good one. He had more trouble adapting than most. He got himself disqualified from the UFC, so he started some kind of underground blood sport tournament, like we had in Rome. Suppose it appealed to people's baser instincts. And they say he made some good coin, killing a bunch of men like that. But his luck finally ran out, and his life along with it. You know what they say. Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Ja, das ist schade. Ja, was er verdient hat.
You're not wrong.
Ah, schön dich zu sehen.
Farewell.
Und ja.
I take it you're the Oracle. Thanks for coming.
Ja, danke, dass ihr gekommen seid.
Actually, I changed my name to Cynthia. I didn't
Cynthia.
want to be associated with Sentius after what happened. I'm not sure if you heard, but after you drove Pluto off, Proserpina emerged from the Great Temple. She knew right away what none of us had figured out about that psychopath. He'd been keeping my little sister locked up in the upper cistern all that time. But he's been dealt with. He's... you know what? The important thing is, we'll never see him again.
Ja, das ist doch gut. Was hast du so gemacht?
Anything I want. I'm a woman of means in a vast new world. I can go wherever and do whatever I please. Of
Ja,
course, I mostly just stay in my villa and have my servant Alexa summon things for me, because it's just awful out there. Barbarians everywhere.
Okay.
He's still there, all alone. The last golden statue in the underworld. Trapped in a metal shell, slowly losing his mind until the end of time. Eternal torment. Just what he deserves, if you ask me.
Sehr gut, sehr gut. Er hat mir mal gesagt, dass er ewig leben möchte.
Then I suppose he got his wish.
Ach, schön dich zu sehen, Cynthia.
You too. See you around.
Ja. Ach. So, wen haben wir hier? Fabia vielleicht? Georgius? Ah. Wer ist das? Wer ist das? Ich weiß es gar nicht. Georgius? Fabia? Ah, der Philosoph. Ach, wie ich sie alle schon kenne. Ah.
Greetings. You
Hi.
must be the legendary Oracle. It is a sincere privilege to finally make your acquaintance. I am Georgius.
Ich weiß, ich weiß.
I am told we have you to thank for freeing us from Hades, and for that I am most grateful.
Ach, erzähl mir etwas.
I am reacquainting myself with Greece. It has changed so much over the last 2000 years, I barely recognize it. This is at once heartbreaking and thrilling. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and sampled her delights, I will settle down in Santorini in a villa overlooking the Azure Aegean Sea. I hope you will join me there and regale me with the story of how you faced off against the fearsome god of the underworld and won.
Ja, natürlich werde ich da sein. Die Geschichte ist gerade nicht so, ja. Ein bisschen komisch, aber ja.
You too, my friend.
Ah, ja. Fabia, meine Bäckerin.
You're the one we've been waiting for.
Na klar.
I'm Fabia.
Hi.
I wanted to say thanks for sending Galerius to save my life. I don't know how you knew, but I would have been crushed by that shrine for sure.
Na, gerne doch.
I'm just so happy to be here with you and everyone together again, even if it's just for one more night.
Ach ja.
Well, it's not like I have to work with all the silver Charon gave me, so I just do what makes me happy. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes while binging TV shows in yoga pants. What a time to be alive.
Mhm. Gut verbrachtes Leben. Ah ja, komm.
Oh, it really is.
Schön, dich zu sehen, Fabi.
You too.
Guter Philosoph. Was sprichst du?
Magnificent museum, is it not? I take it you're the oracle everybody's talking about. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Na klar. Ja, ich bin jedem hier schon mal begegnet.
We have. I'm sorry, I don't remember. In any case,
Ja, jetzt hat er einen
I'm
Namen.
Philip. I never thought I'd leave that cave, let alone the city. And now I'm living in the 21st century. What a time to be alive. And it seems I have your catabasis to thank for it.
Habe ich das euer... Okay, was auch immer das ist.
I'm working as a consultant to the Faculty of Classics at Cambridge University, helping fill the odd gap in their knowledge. Not that I need the money, but I do love being around enlightened minds again.
Na, das ist doch gut.
My sincere thanks once again.
Na klar. So. Wer bist du? Decius vielleicht? Uiuiui. Das müsste vielleicht Octavia sein. Aber wer ist das? Wer ist das? Kurz nachdenken. Claudia? Bist du Claudia?
Some soiree, innit?
Decius, ja.
Good evening.
Damia. Livia. Passt. Du. Du, Kerl.
Oh, hello at last. You must be the oracle I've heard so much about. I'm Decius.
Ich weiß, wer du bist.
Listen,
Eine
I
kleine
wanted to
miese
express
Ratte.
my sincere appreciation for what you did. If it wasn't for you, I'd never been able to sell all those useless old relics I accumulated. Whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man. Thank you.
Ja, komm, gern geschehen.
Most gracious of you.
Was hast du so gemacht?
I took the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in the stock market. That's where the real money is now. In fact, I was hoping to ask your advice, you being the oracle and future seer and all that, on which stocks I should invest in next. I can't decide between fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling and arms. What would you recommend?
Ich kann nicht in die Zukunft schauen.
Oh, don't be like that. You can tell your old pal Decius. I won't take no for an answer.
Ach, Junge. DVD-Verleih hat eine große Zukunft. Reiten wir ihn jetzt da rein? Nix hat der DVD. Es hat alles hier keine Zukunft. Komm.
Oh, of course, yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. I'll go home and buy up as much stock as I can tonight and I'm gonna make a bloody fortune.
Wirst du nicht, mein Schatz. Wirst du nicht. Ciao.
Of course, don't let me keep you. Thanks again for the tips, my friend.
Ja, Kerl. Ah.
Good evening.
Hi. Hi.
Oh, hello. It's lovely to meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Ja, das ist doch schön.
I'm thankful that you're here. I was sure the person who drove off the last pagan god would have more important things to do than visit the likes of us. But thank you for coming and for saving our lives. What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it.
Erzähl mir was von dir.
I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber. Not far from my old place. Oh, and I'm training to be a crisis counselor. After you sent Galerius to persuade Ulpius not to take his own life, I was inspired. I just want to spend the rest of my life helping people, like you helped him.
Sehr noble Angelegenheit.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Ach.
And you. Oh, and I hope this isn't too forward, but some of us are going out for a drink after this, if you'd
Na klar.
like to join us.
Na klar.
Wonderful. I'll see you soon.
Ach. Ehrlich gesagt, das ist gerade echt ein schöner Moment hier. Alle zu sehen, außer den. Bäh.
Greetings.
Ja, sehr schön.
Thank you for your kind words and for liberating us all. In all the time I was in the underworld, I never once imagined that I might end up in a place so much like Elysium.
Ach ja, alles gut, Livia. Wir sind wieder raus.
I'm recovering. Octavia was kind enough to let me stay with her for a while. At least until I'm well enough to be independent again.
Ach, schön, dass ihr alle zusammenhalten hier. Ja, gute Gedichte.
Ah, you remember that. I'm a little tired of Ovid, but that's all right. I have 2,000 years worth of poetry to catch up on now.
Ja.
I'm already up to the 19th century, and am quite enjoying the work of a fellow named Poe. I think I may have found a kindred spirit.
Ja,
Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence.
Gut gesagt. Ach.
And you. Farewell, friend.
Ja, die Frage ist, hätte ich jetzt mit denen nochmal geredet, ob sie mich jetzt kennen würden? Kabasch? Bist du das? Ah, ja, hier sind wir bei den ägyptischen Kabasch. Ja. Du bist auch so einer.
It is an honor to finally meet you, Oracle.
Ja. Danke, aber
You know my name?
Na klar.
Oh, of course. You are an oracle. You know many things. I too would like to offer my thanks for releasing us from that place and for your role in bringing us here. This world is truly wondrous.
Ach ja, Kabasch. Ich bin hier nicht so böse wie in Theseus. Der Kerl. 5 Minuten in der Stadt und dann so ein Müll.
For a time, I returned to Alexandria, but they have no need of another fisherman, and I came to see there is nothing for me there. Instead, I have decided to follow the custom of your youths and backpack the world. It is a great adventure, and I have met many people from many cultures. I spent the first 25 years of my life avoiding the 42 sins that would deny me access to the afterlife. Now, I think it is time I had some fun.
Jetzt ist er weltoffen. Zuvor überhaupt nicht. Ja, verdient hast du es auf jeden Fall. Wir sehen uns. Na klar. So, jetzt wird schwierig. Jetzt wird schwierig. Ulpius. Scintilla vielleicht? Horatius. Virgil. Nee, Rufius. Es muss Rufius sein.
Hello there.
Natürlich. Hallo.
Oh, I go by Gabriella now.
Na gut.
I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name. After you drove Pluto off, Proserpina came and released me, and that monster got what was coming to him.
Ja, hat er bekommen, was er verdient. Was hast du so gemacht?
I'm living with Ulpius on a little vineyard in Umbria. It's even more wonderful than I dreamed it would be.
Das freut mich auch.
I'm so grateful to you for making sure he's still with us. If you're ever passing through the region, I hope you'll come and visit us.
Na
you can try
klar.
some of our very own wine.
Vielleicht mache ich das einfach. Schön.
Thanks. You too.
Ach, Ulpius, wie geht's dir?
It's nice to finally put a face to the name. I'm Ulpius.
Hi, salve.
I understand I have you to thank for sending Galerius to save my life. The way you just showed up out of the blue and stopped me from making a terrible mistake. I'll be forever in your debt.
Keine Sache.
I'm living with Gabriella in Umbria. We finally bought the little vineyard we always dreamed of. It'll be a little while before we know what we're doing, but every day I look at her and this extraordinary new world with all its beauty, and I think, what if I'd given up hope and missed out on all of this? So we're living each day to the fullest. And we end them all the same way. Sitting together on our terrace with a glass of our wine, which the locals say is almost drinkable now, and watching the sunset
Nicht zu viel
on the rolling
trinken.
hillside. And I couldn't be happier.
Ach, das ist schön.
Thank you. I wouldn't be here without you.
Ach, alles gut.
You too.
Alles gut. Wofür's Virgil, oder? Ja, natürlich.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. Ja auch, wir war... Oh ja, haben wir noch gleich Nein.
I go by Rufus now.
Okay.
New start, new name. Oh, and thanks, by the way, for what you did. Sorry, I'm no good with the mushy stuff.
Kein Problem.
I live with Virgil in Rotterdam, not far from where he grew up. It's very modern. Destroyed in the war, and it rebuilt itself. Good place.
Ach, sind die jetzt
fresh
hier?
start. Haven't decided what I'm going to do with my life yet. One adjustment at a time.
Ah, okay.
You too. Look us up next time you're in the Netherlands. We're grateful.
Er ist als Sünderbild. Ja, kann ich jetzt nicht sagen, ob ich das jetzt so interpretiere. Vielleicht gibt er mir mehr Infos.
It's so nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Es ist schön, dich zu sehen, Virgil.
I wanted to thank you personally for getting us out of there.
Na klar.
And for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, but once you get past that, he's a lovely fellow.
Was ist so passiert?
I'm studying to be an architect again and living with Rufus in our beautiful flat in Rotterdam, just down the river from Nijmegen, where I grew up. Of course, it's improved immensely since I was there last. Gleaming futuristic buildings and clean streets full of educated, accepting people. You natives of the 21st century have no idea how fortunate you are.
Ja, manchmal wissen wir es echt nicht so.
You too, as Rufus said in his own laconic way. If you're ever in the Netherlands, we'd love to show you around. It's the least we could do.
Natürlich. Ah, ja, okay. I2. Ah, L? Was haben wir denn hier Schönes? Okay, viele Religionen, alles. Hey, L. Oh.
There you are. I hope you enjoyed that.
Na klar.
Now, there's one more person I wanted to introduce you to. I think you know her.
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time.
Kenn ich doch diese Stimme.
Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Proserpina, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, and now a regular mortal. I wanted to meet you in person, and thank you for freeing all these people, and me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention.
Ja, nichts mehr passiert. Schön, dich zu sehen. Die ganze Zeit zu mir geflüstert, ja, natürlich, oder?
Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each golden statue, I was able to control their tongues and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected.
Ihr habt getan, was ihr konntet. Sehr gut. Ihr habt die Zeitschleife geschaffen. Ja, war sie, oder?
I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still retain my gifts as the goddess of a cycle of life and renewal. After witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath. So I whispered to Sentius in secret, telling him the prayer required to create a portal in my shrine. I knew the danger of humans being corrupted by godly power, and so I put a safeguard in place. I required the creator of the portal to sacrifice their own life, so that it could only be used selflessly to help others. What I did not anticipate is that Sentius would retain his accumulated memories from each previous day, and as a veteran soldier, he had long since shed his fear of death. He quickly discovered that he could, in effect, prolong his own life indefinitely by exploiting the cycle. Of course, once I had taught him the prayer, I could not unteach him, and there was little I could do but wait for someone like you to come along and see him for what he was. We were all fortunate you came along when you did.
Ja, Sentius, der Kerl. Ach, Pluto, ja, das frage ich mich auch. Ist er wieder nach Elysium gegangen?
I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way.
Und aus der?
Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind. She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will.
Okay.
One day.
Teaser für den zweiten Teil. Ach, schön dich kennenzulernen.
And you. Although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city?
Ja, klar.
Good. Because they remember you. Well done, my friend.
Wow.
Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to achieving what you did. Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus, and Aeneas would be proud.
Das sind so wenige, wo es da heißt. Das war doch viel mehr. Ah, Ende 4 von 4. Genau das wollte ich erreichen, was ich gelesen habe, dass es 4 Enden gibt. Ah, Escape, um fortzufahren. Ah, schön. Schauen wir mal, ob da noch was kommt. Escape, um fortzufahren. Ach, schönes kleines Spiel. Kommt da noch was? Eine Nachricht von den Entwicklern. Wir würden uns freuen, in Zukunft noch bessere Spiele zu machen und du kannst uns dabei helfen, indem du über Forgotten City einem Freund empfiehlst oder eine Rezension schreibst. Je mehr Leute unsere Spiele spielen, desto schneller steigen wir im Level auf. Und wenn du der Erste sein willst, der über unser kommendes Projekt informiert werden möchte, setze dich hier mit uns in Verbindung. Oh ja, da schaue ich mal rein. Weil die gerade so irgendwie so einen zweiten Teil angeteased hat. Und kommt da noch was? Ach, war das. Das war gerade alles. Erreiche Ende 4 von 4. Das Kanon-Ende. Ich muss ehrlich sagen, das war gerade echt balsam für die Seele, alle Leute wiederzusehen. Echt. Ja, ich bin echt überrascht. Ich hätte so durch die Trailer und alles, Screenshots, nicht erwartet, dass hier solche Plot-Twists und die jeder andere, was soll ich sagen, Müll wollte ich jetzt gerade nicht sagen, aber ihr wisst, was ich meine. Also ich muss echt sagen, Storytelling, so hier, Studio heißt sogar Modern Storyteller. Genial. Richtig genial, dieses Spiel. Ein paar Sachen habe ich, glaube ich, noch nicht erfüllt, aber vielleicht beim nächsten Durchlauf mal die anderen Enden anschauen. Wie gesagt, ehrlich überrascht. Und die Warnung am Anfang, glaube ich, war, wenn ich das hier aufnehme, ja, dann werden Spoiler enthalten sein. Also, wenn ihr hier schon angelangt seid, ja, dann wahrscheinlich habt ihr dann alle Spoiler gesehen. Aber ich bin echt überrascht. Hat mir sehr gefallen, dieses Spiel. Und natürlich bin ich für weitere Spiele dieser Art offen. Aber ich glaube, genug geredet. Ich danke euch fürs Zuschauen bei diesem echt wunderbaren Spiel. Und ich hoffe, ihr schaltet beim nächsten Mal ein, wenn ich wieder ein neues Spiel spiele. Und natürlich auf YouTube könnt ihr weiterschauen. Da gibt es noch andere Let's Plays von mir und meinen Kollegen. Auf Twitch sind wir vertreten. Und wir sehen uns entweder hier, dort oder beides. Bis dahin, macht es gut. Ciao, ciao.
SillyConBread